Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. And we're here today with the King of the Tomb Invitational 2v2 tournament, and I have to say, in advance, spoiler alert, this is the best 2v2 I've probably ever played in Total War Warhammer 2. It's going to be an epic battle, so strap yourselves in, grab some popcorn, coffee, tea, whatever your thing is, and let's get started. So, we've got a Dwarfen Wood Elf alliance, which I know is a little bit of heresy, but hear me out here. The Dwarfs obviously can bring an incredibly sturdy front line of very cost-effective heavy infantry, as well as artillery, and the Wood Elves can bring plenty of light support units, and some nice anti-large armor-piercing, kind of rear line protection. So, let's go over what we've got. I've got a Glady here with a Prey of Anathema on a horse, who's backed up by a Spellsinger Lore of Life. Of course, healing dwarfs is going to be very, very scary, so we've got that Lore of Life to heal not only my own troops, but my allies as well. For rear line support, we've got 2 units of War Dancers with Azrai Spear and a single Eternal Guard with shields. We've also got 4 units of Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts for that heavy AP missile support. Got 2 units of Hawk Riders Vanguard deployed up, already making their way towards our enemy, and 3 units of Sisters of Thorn here, going to be doing some skirmishing with this force of our enemies here. For my ally here, Lore Master of Sotek, he's got Ungrim Iron Fist, a Runesmith, and a Thane Tormentor Sword there. Runesmith has got standard rune loadout with the Rune of Karak, or with the Hammer of Karak draws. Very good item. We've also got a front line of Longbeards with great weapons, with 2 units of Dwarf Warriors, 2 Miners with Blasting Charges, Dragonback Slayers, and Regular Slayers. We've got an Organ Gun, a Cannon, 1 unit of Corlors, and 1 unit of Bugman's Rangers. So, let's go ahead and take a look at our opponent's force. You can see this force that we're skirmishing out here. We are fighting the Gobbo King and Janet on occasion. I believe Gobbo is the Empire and Janet is Chaos. So for the Empire here in this mobile force, we've got Royal Altdorf Griffites and 2 more units of Demis with Halberds. We've also got a Swordsman here, Jade Wizard, and Boris Toddbringer, so looking to potentially heal some Chaos units. And Boris himself is a very tanky, almost immune to, no doubt, the lots of armor-piercing missile fire that our opponents were expecting. Janet's got a few chariots out here. He's got 2 units of Chaos Chariots, 2 Gorebeast Chariots, 1 unit of Poison Warhounds, and then up through the main line here, he's got 5 units of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, going to be very cost-effective against the Dwarfs, of course. 2 more units of Chaos Poison Warhounds. Gobbo's got 2 more units of Swordsmen, and a couple of Empire Knights. We've also got a unit of Chaos Marauders here with a few chevrons. Looks like 3 Empire Knights all spread across the board. I believe that's pretty much everything. There's a Zintler's Reichsguard Vanguard deployed out in the corner over here in a little bit of sneaky. So let's go ahead and kick things into full gear, and right off the bat, Dawi Artillery is going to be opening up shots, and we're going to be doing a little bit of skirmishing in the forest here. Just kind of pulling these guys around, trying to pull them out of position, and basically just delay this huge mobile force from getting into our flank for as long as possible. Going to get a quick charge into those swordsmen and then immediately pull away. We are going to lose maybe 1 or 2 unit models there, but overall, a very nice trade. We hit all these units with the Curse of Anraher, so again, we're controlling this entire pocket with these Sisters of Thorn here, which is going to then allow the artillery to have a much longer time to be able to fire. You can see this unit of swordsmen already pretty much off the field just from artillery fire. And now Lore Master Sotek is going to be focusing his cannon over onto this unit of Empire Knights here, which is a very good target. Obviously, heavy cavalry is going to be a big risk to us. So I'm going to be maneuvering my my Glade Lord up and around the side here to try and get a little bit of a net. 1 more charge here on these swordsmen, and going to be pulling back away another Prey of Anathema. Just again debuffing this entire pocket here, slowing all of them down. And now we're going to bring the Sisters of Thorn out of the forest and do a quick alpha strike on the swordsman to try and take him off the battle. Meanwhile, you can see crosswise, this cannon has made some solid contact. Glady's also losing some shots. Actually did take out a unit model there, and that side shot, man, through the cavalry unit will do a lot of damage. They've already dropped 10 unit models there, so pretty good for the cannon so far. Let's see if we're able to continue getting it to perform. Swordsman there, taking a little bit of missile fire, but obviously the missile block chance will help them in that regard. We are able to charge that unit of swordsmen really quick with the Sisters of Thorn, and then we're going to immediately start pulling away. seeing as how this Hound was a little bit out in front here, we're going to get a quick Alpha Strike and just take it off the field as quickly as possible. Fortunately, I'm a little bit slow in the uptake and pulling away, so my Sisters of Thorn are going to get caught up a little bit more here, and I didn't have another Prey of Anathrema in my pocket to drop on this group here. Earthblood going down from the Lifecaster there, just keeping those Demigryph Knights nice and fresh. You can see, though, we're starting to have some issues with the Zintler's Reichsguard are getting caught up on War Dancers, but they did pull away nicely before they took too much damage there. We are able to catch a couple of unit models, but on this right side, the cavalry force is incoming. On the left side, they've already penetrated. We've got this unit of Empire Knights charging straight through. They did get on these Quarrelish here, but they're right in the middle of this crossfire now. We're going to get all 4 units of Blade Guards with Starfire Shafts focusing fire here, and as well as the Bugman's Rangers, and these Empire Knights are going to get shredded in a big hurry. Meanwhile, we've caught this other unit of Empire Knights with the Prey of Anathrema. It's now dropped, and they're going to be pulling away from those Eternal Guards with shields. War Dancers, Fighting Swords have been not a super cost-effective engagement, but there are some Empire Knights also wrapped up in there, so, you know, they'll definitely be able to take them down. Meanwhile, over on the other side, we've got it in slow motion just because it's really hectic at this point. There's a lot going on. Got all these chariots and such trying to charge into the side. Thankfully, I did have a unit of Sisters of Thorn here to kind of interrupt their mass a little bit, so it wasn't as decisive of a charge as it could have been. But this Glade Guard is a little bit exposed here. That being said, I mean, Ungrim Iron Fist has been able to pop the Tormentor Sword, I believe, probably from the Thane. And they've caught this Life Wizard, which is a big boon for us. Taking this healing off the field early on in the battle is going to be absolutely critical. So you can see that Lore of Lifecaster just took an absolute shellacking and actually shattered from Ungrim Iron Fist. So that is huge for us. Having shattered their healer, you know, none of their units are going to be able to heal, so that's absolutely huge for us. We're also just, you know, now focusing fire all the Glade Guards onto this unit of Royal Altdorf Griffites, obviously since they're a very expensive unit, we want to take them off the field as quickly as possible, and we are doing some damage. That being said, our opponents are doing a great job compromising our backline. These Empire Knights getting in here on these Glade Guards. Big Bird's finally coming through, the Chaos Lord, who I failed to mention earlier, dropping a nice final transmutation in this pocket, catching a ton of units, the Glady, a Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts and so on. Thankfully, the Runesmith did pop that Rune of Negation there to help mitigate some of the damage from that final transmutation, so very nice counterplay by Sotek there in allowing us to weather that storm a little bit, but it is still going to do a lot of damage here. You can see Bugman's Rangers and these Glade Guards taking a lot of damage here, but we are able to pretty much finish off the Royal Altdorf Griffites. They're still hanging around a little bit, but mostly gone. We have been able to mostly secure this side of the battlefield. You can see this unit of Empire Knights is pretty much gone. Only Big Bird is really mucking things up now here. But here comes some regrouped Empire Knights, going to be getting a nice charge. And Big Bird coming in, just massacring those Glade Guards. So, a pretty rough situation. What had initially been very secure over on this left flank is now starting to be more and more compromised. That being said, we're able to deal with the Hounds relatively effectively. Sarthrel is a big danger at this point, but dropped that Prey of Anathrema on those Demigryph Knights was a little bit of a misclick. I'd meant to put it on these Chaos Chariots instead. That's okay. Boris has been caught up here by the Tormentor Sword with the Thane, and you know, all these Slayers in here, the Slayers and the Dragonback Slayers, so he's going to take a lot of damage here. A really bad situation for Boris. We're starting to get a few forces regrouped. We've got a couple of Glade Guards regrouped. This War Dancer that had been on a little bit of a wild goose chase is also going to be coming back into the fight. And yeah, things are turning a little bit against us in terms of the balance of power. A lot of the ranged units at this point have been taken offline. The Dawi artillery is, at least this cannon, is just now being taken offline. The organ gun, I didn't get to see too much what it did, but we'll look at the end screen and see how it did. But another Prey of Anathrema, or sorry, Curse of Anraer being used to debuff all these chariots just to slow them down and kind of control the pace of them. Big Bird coming over, getting on those Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts, exactly what he should be doing. But now the Slayers are going to start pulling this way. We've got Ungrim Iron Fist reuniting with his Slayer boys here. The Dragonback Slayers and Ungrim going to be getting into Big Bird here. And any time that the Big Bird is in base contact with the Slayers, he's going to take a lot of damage. So he definitely does not want to take this, especially diving in deeper to where the Slayers are getting a better surround on him. He's going to start to take damage here. You can see Ungrim Iron Fist, man, just hits him and takes a huge chunk out of him, so he definitely wants to get out of this situation. That this balance of power is still slightly in our opponent's favor at this point. There's still a very strong force of Chaos Warriors over here. My Glady's caught a little bit out of position, kind of pinned in by Chariots and Demigryph Knights and so on. So it's going to be a little bit dangerous. The Spellslinger Lore of Life was also caught up in that situation. But now with units shifting around, we may be able to get the Glady out. It looks like there's a gap. She's just not able to exploit it for whatever reason. But now it looks like maybe she'll finally be able to pull away there. So definitely a nice boon for me, and not getting my Lord killed there. It would have been pretty decisive against us. But over here, Lore of Life Spellslinger is going to regroup just long enough to drop an Earthblood on these Eternal Guards with shields here. And we did drop an Earthblood that I failed to mention earlier when that mainline engagement was going off. Got some really cost-effective healing there, but now Boris is going to get in there and teach that Spellslinger an awful lesson. The rest of the forces in this flank are going to mostly collapse. We did get that Earthblood on those Eternal Guard, thankfully. But over here, Bugman's Rangers finally being taken offline by the overwhelming numbers of Chariots. I'm going to try and use my Glady to block up their mass a little bit here, but honestly, she doesn't end up saving these Glade Guards much. And you can see the Azrai Spear trying to come through, as are the Slayers and so on. Another really nice final transmutation being dropped in this pocket, catching both these very tattered units of Sisters of Thorn. Probably going to be finishing them off. And yeah, it does look like they shatter at that point. So Thane and Runesmith are still relatively healthy, though. They're about half HP. The Thane is about, well, yeah, Thane's about a little less than half. Runesmith is a little over half. But there are still plenty of Chaos Warriors and Empire Knights on the field. Over on the far side, Eternal Guards handling themselves very well against all these large armored units. I mean, obviously Boris and the Chariots does look like they were actually able to take down a Chariot model here, which is very, very nice. Boris will do damage to them, obviously, since they're low armor, but they'll be able to do some damage back. And in the meantime, over on the far side, the Slayers are regrouping. Things are starting to look more and more desperate. The balance of power is turning further and further against us, so we'll see if we're able to bring it back. These Slayers getting in here, axes out. Dragonback Slayers especially, man, they look super cool, just with their, oh man, they got like the jewels on the axes and these stripy pants and stuff. Man, they're really cool looking units. But yeah, Chaos Warriors at this point are gonna honestly struggle. Slayers aren't really meant to face armored infantry, but especially with the heroic support of Ungrim and some of these other heroic units, you know, the Thane and the Runesmith and so on, we're going to do relatively well. Over on this side, this relatively healthy unit of War Dancers with Azrai Spear is starting to take a lot of damage, but we're also able to deal out a lot of damage on these large armored units. Zintler's Reichsguard coming back around for another charge here. These War Dancers, once they get up, will start to return a lot of hurt. You can see, if we watch here, these Zintler's Reichsguard are just getting chunked away, definitely losing quite a bit of health there, so they don't want to stay and fight too long. We're able to rout off this Chariot here. Chaos Warrior, also this Chaos Warrior now being hit by the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and going to be chased down by Slayers. So once they hit that Rune of Wrath and Ruin and the effect of the Dragonback Slayers, if I can remember what it actually is here, this Power of the Dragonback also gives minus 36% speed, so these Chaos Warriors are down to like 5 speed with both of those effects active. Just going to be dragged down by the Slayers into the muck. Meanwhile, the Glady and the Hawk Riders over on the far side trying to chase down some Knights here. We're going to get into these Demigryph Knights with halberds, but unfortunately my Hawk Riders are caught out a little bit out of position away from the War Dancers, and they're going to just get munched on by these demis. I didn't get to show you guys too much of what the Hawk Riders did, but mostly they were skirmishing with the Chaos Warriors and kind of charging into them as they approached to try and break up their approach and force some more piecemeal engagement. Definitely worked out relatively well, but now these War Dancers are a little bit caught out of position. They're going to get charged from both sides by Hounds, which is not a unit they're meant to face. Hounds, remember, are an infantry class unit. They do not count as large. So that unit of War Dancers is going to get taken off the field, but we do still have a few more War Dancers, 25 to be exact, fighting with these Slayers here. So yeah, you can definitely tell it's a party with all these shirtless, pot-belly, bearded dudes and these lithe ladies in scantily clad outfits. It's definitely a party in here. The Glady herself is still online as well. She's going to be riding around helping to give this pocket some extra mobility and kind of help stop up Chariots and so on. We're just going to, at this point, the MO is to keep everything together. We've got to individually try and isolate and take units apart when they charge in. But like this here, Boris charges in alone, so we're immediately going to just target everything on him, try and get as many attacks on him as possible before he pulls away. Likewise, Chariots coming in here. The Glady is in front and center to help stop up the mass of those chariots so they don't get as good of a charge. And then the Slayers and the War Dancer is going to turn around and start to deal their damage here. Yeah, you can see, despite them not finishing off any unit models, we are able to rout that other unit, that chariot. The Gorby's chariot's still online. Big Bird himself is coming in here, and here come the demis as well. I believe we just popped a Tormentor Sword. Yep, there's the last Tormentor Sword, so this is all in now, trying to take out the last of our enemy's heroic units. Boris is going to start to take a lot of damage. Big Bird is a little bit outside of base contact. There's some knights in between him and our units, but these knights also, some of them did not get hit by the Tormentor Sword, but regardless, everyone that did is going to have to stand in this pocket and just take it. You can see these Slayers doing their belly flops and their karate kicks, going to be dragging down these knights and so on. Boris himself is fighting the Glady, and I believe that Ungrim Iron Fist, yep, he's in here as well, taking swipes at Boris. Ungrim will do a ton of damage to Boris. He does not want to be in here, but at this point he's not going to be able to escape. Boris is routed. He's going to be shattered relatively soon, maybe even taken off the battlefield entirely. Big Bird dives in to try and save Boris. He does manage to spring him loose just slightly, but there are still Slayers kind of surrounding him a little bit, and at this point army losses are going to start to trigger for all of the non-unbreakable forces, which is of course Big Bird himself. A chariot coming in for one last charge here, but the Glady and Ungrim are going to team up together and, you know, combine their powers to help see that chariot off. Likewise, Big Bird, I mean, he's not quite fast enough to get away from the Glady, but again, the chariot's coming in here. I unfortunately wasn't able to interrupt them, so they did get a pretty solid charge, but we're still just chasing, and finally that unit shattered. Now army losses have actually kicked in. It's just Big Bird at this point, so we'll go ahead and soak up some cinematic action as we're finally able to focus on the big siege team in here and finish him off. So very well played to Gobbo King and Janet on occasion. I was sweating bullets, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely thought we had lost that one at one point when all those ranged units were inundated and they were just running shop all over our backline with the chariots and knights, but we're able to pull it back in very strong victory. Strong victory, I should say, more like a slim victory, but very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. It was a ton of fun to play. Man, that's one of the most stressful battles I've ever played in, but whew, it was a great one. It was super epic, came down to the absolute wire, and really at the end of the day it was the you know, the will of the Slayers that really carried us to victory, I think. Just being unbreakable, and the fact that they're able to stand in the late game. Ungrim Iron Fist especially is quickly becoming one of my favorite legendary lords since the recent patches where they gave him more mass, and he has proper anti-large armor piercing now. He's very much, I think, probably the best dwarf lord right now, at least in my opinion. Just incredibly scary, one-on-one duelist to any other, you know, large lord or anything like that. For the rest of Lore Master's forces, his front line got run over a little bit. Beyond the Slayers, obviously the Slayers 162 kills up to rank 4 on this one, silver 1. Quarrelers did decently. The artillery actually did better than I thought, 46 kills and 35. Pretty decent, 113 on the Dragonback Slayers. For myself, War Dancers did very well also, 123 and a Chevron here, 101 here. The Hawk Riders didn't do great, but Glade Guards kind of helped gat down some of those large units who got in the back line. They did get compromised a little bit early on there, but the Hawk Riders likewise did an okay job of kind of delaying a lot of those Chaos Warriors from getting into the front line. But at the end of the day, they didn't do that much damage. Sisters of Thorn were definitely a good utility unit, although they didn't necessarily pay off in and of themselves. The fact that they were able to help control the flow of the battle a little bit more and kind of force some unfavorable engagements definitely worked out in our favor. So for Janet on occasion, man, Sarthriel, 145 kills, got some really nice final transmutations and just some devastating charges into light units. He was able to hang around until the late game, which was very clutch. The Chaos Forces did relatively well all across the front line, 60, 60, 90, 70, and 125. So yeah, with the support of all that cavalry, these Chaos Warriors with Grey Weapons definitely performed very well. Likewise, Chariots did alright, especially the Gorby's Chariots, 51 and 84 is pretty solid. For the Gobbo King here, the Swordsmen didn't really do a lot. They're kind of meant more to be meat shields anyway. The Empire Knights, a couple of them didn't really pay off, but 56 kills on this guy's pretty decent. 89 on the Zintler's Reichsguard. Unfortunately, the Demigryph Knights with Halberds didn't really pay out either. 40 kills on this one's solid, but 0 kills here and only 27 on the Royal Altdorf Griffites. So, ended up being favorable for us in that regard, but like I said, very well played to Team Jag. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.